Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going? Just thought I'd kick in a YouTube live stream, you know, because why not? It's been a while. Twitch partners don't have to stay on Twitch anymore. So, in preparation for Ludum Dare, which is going to be a live event, we thought that we would explore the possibility of streaming on YouTube. So, what's up, YouTube? My name is Cherno, as you probably know. Oh man, feels weird streaming on YouTube. I used to stream on YouTube a long time ago. I actually want to see when that was. The last time I streamed on YouTube. Let's see. Okay, the last time I did a live stream on YouTube was in 2014. So, and it was like Cherno Craft. I think I was working on Cherno Craft, which was a little Minecraft clone I made for like university back in the day. Dual stream on both. I can't do both, like, because I am still a Twitch partner and Twitch doesn't allow you to do both. But also, I don't know, like, I don't really like the idea of streaming on both platforms. I think it's weird. Like, why would you, because why wouldn't you watch on YouTube if the live stream is on YouTube? And why wouldn't you watch on Twitch if the live stream is on Twitch? Like, unless it's like banned in your country or something weird like that. Because, I don't know, in my opinion, I think it's better to keep the community together. So you kind of want to, you know, keep it together. So that, you know, everyone can obviously chat in the same place. And I know there are like some weird websites that combine stuff, but like as in they can combine chat, I think, from multiple sources, but that's really weird because then no one knows what, you know, what you're talking about if they're only on that one platform. So anyway, I just thought it'd be better to do this. I think I also, did I not set that up? That should be working. Yeah, the chat, I've got chat, like, chat's a bit weird because I used to use Streamlabs OBS when I streamed on Twitch, but then I kind of wanted to move away from that and just go to like regular OBS Studio. And there used to be a plugin that I just used for chat, you know, getting chat like on screen, like what you guys see here. And then I kind of, but there's no, I don't think there's a plugin to get that working on YouTube. So basically what I ended up doing instead is setting it up as like a browser source and then using some custom CSS to make it look different. So hopefully that works well. I think it should be okay. Yeah, if you guys like, while I'm setting stuff up, just because I mainly want to make sure that, like, you know, the quality is good and the chat is working and all of that stuff, feel free to ask questions and I'll try my best to answer them while I'm doing stuff. But basically the plan for today's stream is, like, I literally just have work to do and I'm feeling a little bit lazy. So, and I kept getting distracted and just going on YouTube and watching random recommended videos, which is never a good idea because that just takes up so much time and I think it makes you even more lazier. So what I decided to do was, I was just like, oh, you know what, let's just live stream, because then obviously I'm not gonna, I'll have to be focused because I'm not gonna get distracted with YouTube videos in front of you guys. I could, but I'm not at that stage yet where I don't care. Just go. So that's the plan. We're gonna do some work, just because I'm working hard on basically completing the renderer rewrite for Hazel, because we have like a bit of a different renderer now that is a lot better when it, like, as far as dealing with resources and descriptor sets in Vulkan. So that's almost done. Like, it's really coming to I hope to have it finished in about a week or so, within the week. Because we want to actually probably like do another release of Hazel. So Hazel 2023.2, because we released Hazel 2023.1 like a month ago. We want to do another release actually at the end of this month, right in time for Ludum Dare, so that we can actually do that game jam. Those who don't know, Ludum Dare is a game jam. We're going to do that game jam at the end of this month, because it starts in like 24 days, I think, or 23 days, something. We want to use like the new kind of version of Hazel that has like this new renderer basically, and some other improvements as well. So the plan is I'm going to kind of work on that. Travis, thank you so much for the $10 donation. Thank you for all the knowledge and experience you provide to the community. My pleasure. Thanks for the support. Appreciate it. Oh, the music's a bit loud? Oh, sorry guys. Yeah, see, this is what I mean. This is what I mean by setting it up. Yeah, I just forgot. Usually the music is like at minus 15 dB in my like mixer in Streamlabs OBS, but it was at 0, so I apologize for it. This should be better. OP is the most stupid programming thing ever invented. A lowered bar for the casuals think they can code. Damn. Who hurt you? Oh, whoa, wrong audio source. Oh. Sorry, guys. Alright. Now we're good. See, this is what I mean. This is what happens when you guys join the first YouTube live stream in a while. And the reason why I did that is because they're in opposite, like, see, this is just like I'm just like muscle memory at this point, because for some reason the mic is below the desktop audio in the mixer, but I'm pretty sure in Streamlabs OBS it was above, so that's why. Lol. Okay. Anyway, the chat almost looks a bit big. Maybe I'll make the chat a bit smaller, like as in it comes up too high, I think. Let me just tweak that real quick. Alright. Is the chat a good size? Let me just see what that looks like. That's a bit annoying. So. How do I... Yeah, it's here. Let me tweet this out as well, just in case. Alright, hang on. Yeah, that should be it. Yeah, I wanted to just see. Yeah, I think that's not bad. I think the chat's fine. Might tweak it a bit more at some point. Oh, great. All right. There's some more space on the left side of the screen for chat. Based on the camera angle. Well, it's like it's usually not the normal view, I think, would probably be a bit different usually, because the camera is just like, usually it's not me filling the screen, it's the screen. Let me just get rid of this for a second. Like, as in this is like the normal layout basically. So I like having the chat like, you know, down there. All right. Okay, so let's do some work, I guess. Like, yeah, this is gonna be a pretty chill live stream. I did want to do a live stream, like an actual live stream, like a scheduled live stream and stuff, soon-ish at some point. Where we like, I'll probably like actually plan some content. But today it's just gonna be like, yeah, as I mentioned, it's just gonna be, we're gonna just do some work. So basically, this is the state that we're at. I'll show you guys kind of where I'm at. I'm basically bringing back all these render passes because there's now a new render pass system and a new kind of compute shader system as well inside Hazel. And so I've kind of been slowly porting everything into that new system. And the reason why it's a little bit of a challenge, well, it's not a challenge, it just takes a while, is because there's like so many different passes to take care of. But basically, so this is Prefab Sandbox, which most of you familiar with Hazel know. So I'm slowly bringing stuff back. There's still no icons, so there should be like these spotlights need to have basically, let me actually set up my thing so I can draw on the screen. Like there's usually like little icons for all the lights, and other stuff like for the camera as well. Like you'd see a camera icon. That's not there because that's disabled. I did, like just before this live stream, basically I brought back text rendering because that flows through Renderer 2D. So Renderer 3D is like mostly good. I think there's some missing features, like for example, screen space reflections are not in the new render pass system yet. And what else is there? Oh, animation. Nothing to do with animation is in the new system. So any skeletal animation stuff just does not work at the moment. So I need to bring that across, obviously. But yeah, I'm gonna probably start with like the rest of the 2D stuff because that should be pretty easy to bang out. So basically, as I mentioned, the icons, which is actually what I was about to do literally, and then I was like, why not live stream this? So here we are. What do I use to draw on the screen? It's called Zoom It. Thoughts on making a video on a book guide for C++? On a book guide. Video on a book guide. Guide for C++. I'm not sure what you mean. Video what on a book about C++? Wanted to say thanks for teaching me most of the fundamentals of C++. No worries, Kevin. Glad to help. Alright, is the music too quiet now? Can you guys hear the music alright? Whatever, doesn't matter. I don't care. Alright. So basically, yeah, so I was just about to bring this stuff back. So this is where we render the text, so that's working. And I wanted to also maybe change the API to make it a little bit easier. But basically, this stuff I can just carry across. Text index buffers, line index buffer. Yeah, this stuff I don't think has changed much. Yeah, there just should now be a line pass, which I didn't make yet. So let's go ahead and make a line render pass. So we have a separate render pass for lines because it uses a different shader and thus a different pipeline. And it's got some different behavior as well for like the vertex buffer and the index buffer. Okay, so basically this, and there's also a line on top pipeline. So we probably need 2 different render passes for that. So let's see what we have. We have this text pass for text. So basically, I think these 2 guys, so let's make this be the line pass and then line on top pass. So we'll basically get rid of those pipelines because they'll be inside the render passes now. And everything else I think is fine. So now we'll get these errors and we can just make, yeah, so let's do render pass specification, line spec we'll say, so debug name, I think renderer 2D line. The pipeline will be that. Pipeline. And then we'll make another one of these. I guess we can just do that. Is there anything else in here that we need to worry about? Marker color? Yeah, might set that later. Alright, so yeah, so this will have depth test as false, and then we'll do, yeah, basically that. Okay. And then this will be the line pass. This will be the line on top pass. Okay. Okay, so they are our 2 things. I usually like to scope these in just so that like these specs don't leak too far. So for example, that makes it so that you can't accidentally use the line spec here by copying and pasting here, because you can see it's not something defined in the scope. So that's generally why I like to make the scopes for fun, and it also helps you kind of clean up the stack. Yeah, if you need to. Okay, that probably is it as far as lines go, but we shouldn't have started with lines. We should have started with quads because that's kind of more or less what we want. So line pass, I think we can do get. We need to do get pipeline, get shader. Oh, didn't I add that? I thought I added that to pipelines. I wanted to add a get shader because it's quite a common thing to get the shader. To want to get the shader. Oh, this is still a thing, that's funny. this was a thing back from like the OpenGL days when Hazel used to support both Falcon and OpenGL, and primarily even from initially when it only supported OpenGL, but that's gone now. So ref shader, get shader, and this function, Vulkan pipeline. Let's do this like here, I guess. Override return m specification dot shader. There's just a little shorthand so that you can do that. Because you need to create this from it. Oh yeah, so you can see quad pipeline. Well, quad pipeline doesn't really need to exist anymore. So yeah, quad pipeline, same kind of story for quads, which I need to probably organize this a bit more as well. Do we have a quad on top thing? No. Okay, so that kind of becomes this now. Quad pass. Then we just look for the errors. Okay, so quad pipeline. So that will now be quad pass, render pass, create, and I'll do quad pass or quad spec maybe. What is this music? It's so like kind of country and it's fine. Whatever, we'll leave it. When was the renderer 1.0? I guess that's what it's been up until now. The last year or so, maybe. Okay, pipeline equals this guy. Now that's not quite the end of it though, because you still need to bake the pass and everything. So I'm gonna have to do more work in a minute. And then this is, what is this? Oh, this was just for fun, I think. This is when I was messing around and planning the API itself. So this is, yeah, just quad pass get shader. I feel like farming some herbs, yeah. Yep, the music is definitely getting me in that vibe. Alright, so that's what that is, and yeah, so let's kind of, I guess we can bake it now. So if we look at the shader and what the shader wants, the shader wants camera in set 1, which means it has to be part of the render pass. I don't think there are, yeah, and then this is in set 0, probably be explicit. And that can be binding 0 actually, I think. It used to be 1 because this used to be in set 0 as well. So now that that's handled, so the material has to provide the textures and the render pass has to provide the camera, which makes sense because that's not per draw or anything. So let's go ahead and set that then. So we can do set input camera, and we can set it to like UBS camera, which is uniform buffer set, because it's 1 uniform buffer per frame in flight. And uniform buffer sets in Hazel kind of abstract the per frame in flight part of that. So let's see. I wanted to look at the text pass, because that obviously works. Yeah, so that just does that, and then we just do validate and bake, which is kind of what I wanted to steal. So validate and the little core verify here will just make sure that bake actually does a validate, but if it doesn't work, we should probably, you know what I don't like? I'm pretty sure that at the moment, the way I've set this up is it just silently fails, right? So if we go down to the end of valid, yeah, like if it doesn't validate, it just doesn't do anything. But I think I want to, am I in the right scope here? I think so, yeah. The indentation is just weird. HZ core error tag renderer, and we'll say and then we can do specification debug name. Why is it so the indentation's a bit weird? I don't think that's fine. Alright. Yeah, so now at least we'll get a message, but in general, that's why we do this, and this gets stripped in distribution builds. Verifies are like asserts, but they stay around in release builds as well. So it's like it's like debug and release is asserts are debug only, verifies are debug and release. And but in distribution builds, everything gets stripped. So this line of code will basically not exist at all in distribution builds, but in debug release builds, it will. Because you don't have to do this. And that's one thing you want to be careful of as well. Sometimes people put code that like has to still exist here, and the problem is like this obviously will strip it entirely. So if you had anything important in here, like don't put it in here. You could do like a bool validate and then do a verify on the validate like that, so that this actually still remains a thing in in every build. Even I get caught with that trap sometimes. Too many curly braces. I think you guys mean that too much like nesting. Yeah, like there is quite a bit here. Yeah, I guess I could have done, like, obviously when I started it wasn't like this. I could have reversed this and just done return, right? And the rest of this assumes it's valid. I guess I'll do that now actually. So let's go back and basically be like, if validate returns false, then we'll go back and print this and return, and then that means that we can get rid of that and pop that back a little bit, which is better, I guess. A lot of this is temporary as well, but the rest of it's kind of necessary because we have like nested for loops and switch statements and stuff. I could probably move it out into functions, but don't necessarily like to do that sometimes. What window used for navigation? Visual Assist. Yeah, I use Visual Assist this is just like Control Tab and Control Shift Tab in Visual Studio, but if you do Alt M in Visual Assist, that's very, very useful. It just drops down all the functions and some symbols as well in the file, and then you can like immediately start typing. So if I wanted to go to like render a 2D flush, I can just do Alt M and then type in flush, hit enter, and you can see I'm at that function, which coincidentally does nothing. So I should probably strip that. In general, I'm doing a bit of a clean on Hazel as well, because like there's a lot of dead code in it and a lot of stuff that needs to be cleaned up, and a lot of code that just doesn't do anything because it's left over from a long time ago. Oh, one more reason why I wanted to stream on YouTube instead of Twitch, by the way, is because I can stream at a much higher quality, because Twitch limits you to like 6 megabits per second. I think that's just the maximum overall that you can do, even if you have like a 4K 60 stream or whatever. It's still like 6 megabits per second. But YouTube can go much higher than that. I'm only streaming at like 10 at the moment, I think. But I could, because that's just what it picked, but I could go up. I mean, my internet upload is 40, so I can't go too high, but yeah, it's still kind of nice, obviously, to have it a bit more like that. Alright. Bruh, this ain't a Q&A stream. No, I'm happy. This is the first YouTube stream in a while, so I'm not too, like, I'm still setting stuff up and whatever. So even though I'm giving the illusion of me working, I'm also keeping track on this. But yeah, I don't know why you're spamming. Let me clean that up. Let's just should I time out or just ban? I've timed out. What's H new and H delete for? Allocation tracking. So basically, it's a little macro that if HZ track memory is defined, you can see it expands, instead of just being new, which is what it is normally, it expands to this. And what that will do is basically, whoops. What that will do is call this function here, which will go to Hazel's allocator, and it will basically keep track of lots of stuff. And it lets us do some pretty cool stuff, which if you remind me, I'll show you a little window in Hazel that can break down exactly where all the memory has gone. I just need to launch Hazel, but it doesn't compile at the moment because I'm editing files. So remind me. Next time I launch Hazel, guys, remind me to show the memory kind of stats. All right. Yeah, so where were we? Yeah, so that's it. We're baking that. That's nice and baked now. Oh, the lines as well. We should bake the lines. Get our lines baked. Okay, so basically that and that. And it's gonna need, I think it just needs cameras as well. Line, can't spell line, GLSL. All right, yeah, set 0, and that doesn't have textures, obviously, so it's just that. It doesn't even need a material. Do we have a material for it? Because we definitely don't need one. We might, but we don't need one. So this is gonna need the camera as well. Good aim. Okay, and now we can probably go into end scene, and we need to set the textures. Are they being set correctly? I don't know. Okay, so this now is replaced. Basically, this was the old code. Now it's replaced with this kind of cluster of code. So quad pipeline. Oh, sorry, quad pass. Quad pass. I think we can we do get pipeline? Yeah, we can. It's a bit better. Quad material, which again, that's the thing that needs to have the textures. Yeah, quad vertex buffer, quad index count. Okay, that's done. So I just need to make sure that the materials are set, which they should be. So this is a sampler 2D array, or no, I should say an array of sampler 2Ds that gets set here. Based on the texture slots, because this is a batch renderer, so that should probably work. Let's just hit F5 and see what happens. I'm gonna make a t-shirt called that just says let's hit F5 and see what happens. Oh, everything's, check out the lag, because it's using all of my cores to compile. All right, what are you guys saying? I can answer some stuff while I'm compiling. Any alternative to Visual Assist as it's not free? Not that I know of. I mean, Visual Studio, like with every new release, is basically implementing the Visual Assist features. So it's actually not that bad now, but the Alt-M thing is very useful. I don't think it can do anything like that. You could always write your own plugin for Visual Studio if you want. Peter did that for Hazel, so he would know. So the renderer is like a singleton. There are several renderers, so it kind of depends. Okay, I'm not seeing icons, which is unfortunate. Oh, I might have disabled them. This renderer is kind of, it's not really a singleton. Oh no, I guess it is a singleton because it's virtual as well, because this will delegate to whatever render API you're using. So at the moment we only support Vulkan, but we used to support both Vulkan and OpenGL, and in the future we might support like DirectX 12, for example. At the moment there's no real need to do that because Vulkan also works on Windows and we're not targeting like Xbox or whatever. But this basically would call, this actually, like the implementation of render geometry, the real implementation is in a file called vulkanrenderer.cpp. And everything here, so like render geometry, as I said, everything here is static, right? So this stuff is kind of used statically. This does not retain any state whatsoever. So the context that it records commands into is passed into the actual function. So the render command buffer is where everything gets recorded into. And it's basically like a Vulkan command buffer. So this is like the static render commands, basically, is what this class is. But the scene renderer, which is the thing that actually like organizes this stuff and calls that is not, that is basically, you can instantiate that like per viewport, for example, because that can be used, yeah. So it's basically like the render APIs are static, but because like it just translates to Vulkan commands at the end of the day, which obviously are also kind of static. But the renderers themselves, like Renderer 2D and Scene Renderer, which are the two big renderers we have, like Renderer 2D renders 2D stuff in a 3D context though. So for example, those icons, they're in a 3D world, but they might like face the camera at all the time. They're basically billboards, right? But they are still in a 3D world and they still respect like the depth buffer and all of that, so they can go behind things. The Renderer 2D handles that as well as all text. And that is not a static class. Like this is not a static class. You can instantiate this as much as you want. And same with the Scene Renderer, which renders 3D scenes. The Scene Renderer is basically like scene goes in, image comes out. And you can do that in parallel on different threads if you wanted to as well. How much time does building Hazel source code take? Oof. Maybe like 2-3 minutes on my computer using all the cores. I have 32 cores, or like 16 cores, 32 threads probably. Wait, do I have... Let's see, I don't even remember. I think I've got 16 cores. Yeah, 16 cores. It's 5950X. Thanks Joel Watson for the $1. Appreciate the support. How are you so fast navigating your code? Well, yeah, I do use like Visual Assist as we talked about earlier, but basically, yeah, just experience. Like I've obviously been programming for like, you know, a while, like over a decade. So like you become fast, you know, it's not something that happens. It's like playing guitar. You can't like immediately play guitar. Your fingers just don't know what to do, but eventually time goes on and you become faster and faster. Joel, lol, I gave you 99 cents for that message because I don't know how things work. Paid so you can't ignore me. Just wanted to know how you stay motivated on big boy projects. And thanks for being a coder, hacker, Chad man. How do I stay motivated on big boy projects? I don't know. I think that it definitely can be difficult. There are a few things that are different maybe about Hazel that would probably make me extra motivated. And that is, first of all, I work in a team, not by myself. So if I didn't hire like Tim and Peter and they didn't work for me and I didn't have a team, then I think it would definitely be harder. So that's one piece of like why it's motivational, why I stay motivated, because, you know, it's really cool to see like, you know, the cool art and stuff that Tim has made, for example, in Hazel, and like the demo he's put together, for example, and Peter, you know, just added like a new physics engine or whatever into Hazel. Like it's really cool to obviously see the community around that, but not even them, not even like Studio Cherno, which are like the staff, but then there's also like the rest of the Hazel core team, which just kind of are volunteers, right? So it's really motivating to see, to kind of work with people. I think that's really important, especially for someone like me, because I'm quite a social person. So if I'm just doing stuff alone, it definitely does eventually kind of burn out and become less motivated. The other big thing though, is that Hazel has come so far that it's so cool to do stuff with it. Like in the beginning, when you make an engine, like probably for the first year or so, depending on how fast you are, it's like, it's cool, but like, you know, at least, especially, well, I don't know, maybe if it's your first time doing that stuff, it's still super interesting and motivating. But like, obviously I came from like Frostbite, and before that a mobile engine called Osiris at EA as well. And like, when you come from like working on Frostbite or like a bigger engine, and then you start making your own stuff, it's like, it's a very different thing. And it's kind of, in a way, it's fun and it's nice because it's a lot simpler, and that's easier to deal with, obviously. But on the other hand, it's so incapable of doing anything that you just feel like almost overwhelmed, because, you know, what are you going to do? Like, if I want to make something, I'm going to have to add so much code. Like, it's so far away from being able to, for example, make a 3D game and ship it at that point when you just start, that it's like, that sucks. You know, that's really not motivating, I guess. But then as time goes on, if you push through that, you know, like we ship games like, well, at least twice a year, because we do the game jam. We do Ludum Dare twice a year now as a team. So together as a team, we make games in Hazel every 6 months and we ship them. Like, and it's cool because, you know, even the progress between that is huge. Like Forest, the first game that we made like a year ago for Ludum Dare, you know, that basically shipped with all of the raw assets and it was single threaded. And then if you compare that to Dichotomy, you know, this isn't even like editor improvements. This is actual like fundamental engine runtime improvements. Like by the time we got to Dichotomy 6 months later, like we had everything was packaged like into an asset pack. So no raw assets, and it was a multi-threaded like runtime, right? So like that obviously, and you work in a team to like make a game that people can then play. And of course it's not perfect. Like, of course, like there are performance improvements to make. There's like GPU compatibility improvements to make. Like it might crash sometimes. Like, I mean, all games crash, but still, you know, it feels different when it's your own engine. It feels like it's almost like sometimes I like to use other engines, or I tell people to use other engines, because like I feel like when you get so involved in writing your own software, you forget that literally like every other piece of software you use pretty much like will crash, right? Like I think it was funny because when Tim was editing a year ago, when Tim was editing the video for Forest, for the Ludum Dare game that we made, I think Premiere, he was counting how many times Premiere Pro would crash, and thank God we're well past Premiere Pro. Like I've been using DaVinci for like the last 6 months at least, and it's so much better. But anyway, he would count how many times Premiere Pro would crash, and I think it was like something like 50 plus. Basically the point is Premiere Pro crashed more times while making that video, because it was like, well, to be fair, it was pretty heavy because it was like basically all of our live streams, he was taking clips from all of them, and it was like 72 hours of footage, I guess, per person pretty much. Well, not quite 72 hours, but you get the point. Like a lot of footage. It was like over a terabyte, I think, of videos. But he had proxies for them and everything. But anyway, the point is, it was still like, it crashed more times than Hazel did during the development of the thing. And like, obviously, Unity crashes, Unreal crashes, like everything crashes. And sometimes, like when you just work on your tech, you forget. You almost have this unreasonable expectation of like, oh damn it, Hazel crashed. You know, this wouldn't have happened if I was using Unity or Unreal. And to an extent, like I'm sure that you can have more bugs maybe than maybe an engine that is way more complicated, but on the other hand has like proper QA and everything. But still, like it's, you just need to remember that like software crashes, and like it's okay, you know, unless it's like, you know, the autopilot on a plane, then it's not okay. But for video games and for entertainment, it's fine if it crashes. Anyway, that's the motivation speech. So Joel Watson, I hope you got your money's worth. What do I think about Sea Lion? I used it a little bit like 4 years ago. I didn't really like it. The thing is, like, you know, people say this every now and then, but like the fact is Visual Studio is basically the tool to use for like video game development. Like everyone uses it in the industry. Like, I mean, I'm sure there are some people, especially now with like engines like Unity, that are using like Rider or whatever by JetBrains. That's fine. But like for fundamental engine development and for C++, like, no, I don't, like everyone in the industry uses Visual Studio. Like, and again, it may be slowly changing, but like, it's not only just because it's capable of dealing with large projects really well compared to other tools, right? Like every time I used to fire up our code in Xcode because I had to build an iOS build, like that was just a nightmare. Like with the same code base. Like Visual Studio is so much faster. But not only that, it's because a lot of like manufacturers, like Sony for example, they make debugging tools for like the PlayStation as plugins for Visual Studio. And at least back then, they didn't make them for anything else. So it was kind of like, you basically had to use Visual Studio. So yeah, and like, I don't know, for the people who rave on about like how, oh, it sucks so much, like it's so slow, it crashes or whatever, well, like, I don't know, I mean, to be fair, like, I don't even remember the last time it crashed. It's actually been really stable lately, which is good. I remember it used to crash more often, and it used to be a bit slow, and it froze and stuff like that. Now it's actually really good for me. It's been really good in Hazel, and Hazel's not that big, but it's not that small either. And also, like, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like the people who complain a lot about, like, Visual Studio being bad and, like, they make it their passion to just complain about it all the time are people who are focusing way too much on the tools, and they should actually focus on the work they're producing, because I think that's a lot more important than, like, what text editor fundamentally you're using. And that can get really annoying as well when people are just too obsessed with that. What music is playing? It's so nice. The music is called Pearl City Beach by Paper Twins. Oh, that's another good feature of YouTube live streaming. You guys can like just rewind, can't you? Like you can just go back. Yeah, you can go back and watch the live stream from wherever you want to. And if you miss something or you want to see something, you can just go back a little bit. Whereas you can't on Twitch. So yeah, I don't know. I'm really enjoying this YouTube experience at the moment, to be honest. Vector, thank you for the donation. Oi mate, any resources you recommend for Vulkan? It's difficult because I don't know. I guess like I would say if I had to name one resource, I'd probably say Sasha Willems examples. So Sasha Willems has like a bunch of examples on GitHub. Yeah. Well, basically, I'll just show you guys on my screen, but basically this guy, right? This guy. He's got like this Vulkan thing. He's got a bunch of stuff, but if you look at this is like, you know, examples on literally everything. If you already, if you kind of already understand how like rendering, I guess, works on a high level, and you just need to learn the API, this is the best thing to do. And you know, especially I feel like as a programmer, just reading through the examples, learning from the actual code is so useful. And he gets into other like interesting things like shadow mapping. He has one on Bloom, for example, which I kind of dissed in my Bloom video because it's a bad example of Bloom, but it's a good example of how to use the Vulkan API to achieve something like that. You know, there's even ray tracing stuff, I think, yeah, he has like actual hardware accelerated ray tracing examples as well, which are good or decent. Keep in mind, none of this stuff is like AAA grade or like industry grade, but it's really good for just being like, how do I do this in Vulkan? Or how do I do a technique like this, you know, that might, for example, render to a depth buffer, and then I want to sample that depth buffer in the next render pass. How do I do something like that in Vulkan? This is the best for that kind of stuff. So that's my #1 resource that I would recommend. I wonder if you can get ChatGPT to teach you Vulkan. I haven't used ChatGPT too much for like Hazel, but I have been playing around with ChatGPT a little bit. Like I asked it to like write me some just some C++ code for fun, which actually I think I'm gonna make a video about it because it's actually quite kind of cool and really interesting. Like you can get it to like write you, like for example, a data structure, and then you can ask it to tweak certain parts of that data structure to be more customized to what you want, and it can do that. So that's really cool. And it looks like the code looks pretty fine, and you can ask it to like annotate the codes with comments that explain everything. Like it's pretty cool. But no, I haven't used it like in work specifically. Visual Studio is a big banger. Yeah, it's pretty good, pretty dope. Unreal and Unity editors feel super unreliable compared to shipped executables a lot of the time for some reason. Yeah, I mean, editors are a bit of a different game. When does Ludum Dare start? In like 23 days, I think. Like end of April, basically. You can go to ldjam.com and look at the countdown. What was it like to make your first game using Hazel? Must be a proud moment. Yeah, it was cool. It was like, the thing is, like, the first thing we ever actually made was probably the Space Invaders clone, and that took like months. So like probably half a year, and like it drove a lot of features, definitely, and it was like more of like a technical thing than like a game, you know, but it is a game, but like it was a good technical exercise basically. So that didn't really feel like, you know, straight away. But the first Ludum Dare we did with Hazel, which was Forest, which was like a year ago, yeah, that was really cool. The game was somewhat broken on release, and we had to patch it because I think one of us, who I won't name, wrote the movement in a, you know, using NVIDIA physics, but using it incorrectly, basically, and so we kept getting stuck in the mesh collider, which was very bad and game-breaking. But I fixed that same day, even though I had been up for like, was I up for 24 hours? Or was I up for 24 hours during dichotomy? I don't remember. Anyway, I was very tired to be like, we just made a game in Hazel, and it was broken, so I was a bit upset. But once it was fixed, and it wasn't like a great game or anything, but it was definitely cool to release that. I think Dichotomy was a lot cooler just because we shipped it without the raw assets, and it felt more like a actual distributed game, and it had like multi-threading and everything. Alright, anyway. Interesting why YouTube stream and not Twitch. If you guys go, you can actually, again, another feature of YouTube, you can rewind obviously and go to the beginning of the stream and watch me explain why. Ha! I don't have to explain myself twice. That's pretty cool. Alright, I'm gonna switch back to some work. So, yep, I do play guitar. I play guitar and piano. There's a piano here, but you can't see it. I'll prove it. There we go. Proof. Twitch is just ads everywhere. Yeah, YouTube, I definitely like. I think I like YouTube more. YouTube's just up there live streaming a lot, I think, lately, which has made it really cool. Okay, so let's see. Where do we stop? Surely play something for us, cutie. Well, maybe not now, but I did. Yeah, we did it a year ago for the Ludum Dare where we made Forest. We did it like as a charity stream to raise money for Ukraine. And one of the, like, I think the $2,000 milestone reward was basically a little concert from me. So, but I don't think that's anywhere on the internet. Like, there's snippets of it here and there, but yeah, so I did do that. So maybe we'll do another charity stream for something. This Ludum Dare. Which, yeah, guys, by the way, so in 23 days, we'll be doing a 3-day stream. A 72-hour live stream, basically, where we make a game using Hazel. So stick around for that. It's in like 23 days. Here it is. Which, by the way, Ludum Dare, the homepage has been completely destroyed. But anyway, Anyway, here it is. Yeah, 23 days, 20 hours. Oh, the spam is gone. Oh, there's a spam. They installed the spam bot, finally, after like, this homepage was just completely destroyed with spam for like so long. Now it's good. That was weird. The stream just dropped out, I think, for a second. Well, at least OBS just dropped out and reconnected. That was weird. I'm still live, yeah, guys. It'd be funny if it was because I opened Hazel. Oh yeah, I was gonna show the memory view. So if you go, like, I think maybe views and statistics. So we have the statistics panel, and there's this thing called memory. And so what you can do is in memory, it basically says total allocated, total freed, and current usage. So this is not like the whole application, but it's like most of the application. And this stuff you can kind of ignore. That's just the total. This is the current actual usage. So these will both keep going up as you kind of have transient allocations. And then here you have this little sorted list of what actual classes allocate memory. And if they're not a class, like, you know, for example, this is just a file, as you can see, it tells you the file. So sometimes you get classes, like, actually these are all files. I think everything that's blue is a file, and then these are all actual classes, right? So you can see that, like, you know, scene renderer has 300 kilobytes of allocated memory. Buffer.h has 50 megabytes of allocated memory. Now, unfortunately, that doesn't tell us much because buffer.h is like a little convenience class for allocating raw buffers, or not necessarily allocating raw buffers, also like passing around and managing raw buffers in like a non-owning way. And then, yeah, we can see like render command queue. This is a static allocation, I think. Like this will just allocate once at the start of the app. That's why it's exactly 50 meg. But yeah, this stuff is used. And it's cool because you can obviously search for, like, you know, if you wanted to validate something, if you've written some code and you want to make sure you don't have any leaks, you can just kind of monitor this like a hawk and be like, are any of these increasing? And then you'll obviously see you know, if something's increasing frame to frame, because you can see this stuff, well, this stuff is, like as in these two up here are, but then this guy shouldn't really be increasing. Like it's possible there are some, I'm sure there are some leaks somewhere in Hazel. I'm not claiming it's leak proof, but it looks pretty decent as you can see, which is good. Ludum Dare, or Ludum Dare is it's a game jam basically. There's like 2 versions of it, Compo and a Jam, and there's actually a new thing called Extra. But you basically have like either 48 hours to make a game by yourself or 72 hours to make a game in a team. Alright, anyway, so that's the memory view. That's the... Can I not close this? I guess not. There's no close button. I should probably add that. Okay, so yeah, I think I didn't enable the icons being rendered. So if we go to on render 2D, oh no, this should be rendering, because that should not. Yeah, that should be rendering. That's weird. Yeah, render a begin scene, set target frame buffer. Why are we doing, shouldn't we do, probably not a big deal, but I feel like we should almost do these the other way around. I don't think it's a big deal though. Yeah, why is nothing rendering? So where are the icons? So show icons has to be on, which I'm guessing it is, and then it just does like draw quad billboard, which goes into the quad. So as long as like in end scene, as long as we're actually doing that, which I hope we were. So this is it, right? So this looks like it's rendering. That's weird. That should be rendering. Render dock time. Nah, not quite. Not yet. Why 72 hours as a group? Don't you need more time if you're solo? I don't know. That's just the rules. I don't make the rules. We've been joking about making Cherno Dare for a while. Which is funny, but and then I would make the rules, but that's not the case at the moment. All right, so I mean, show icons is definitely on, so that's a bit weird. Let's just chuck a breakpoint in here. So it is trying to render it. Could it be rendering it to the wrong buffer? Possibly. I mean, this is also done as a post-process pass. This text, this is done using renderer 2D, and it is going externally, so we should just make sure that we're doing the same thing. So if we look at this, it's setting it to renderer get external composite frame buffer. Is that what we're doing here? Yes, it is. Okay, and edit a camera view projection, give you metrics. Yeah, that's basically what we're doing here. I mean, here, yeah, we are doing it this way, but that doesn't seem to matter. So yeah, why is it not, yeah, if it's got a final pass image. So the text is rendering fine, funnily enough. So maybe we did mess something up. Oh, I think I know what it is. I think it's the set target frame buffer. Doesn't, yeah. So what has to happen, which is somewhat unfortunate. Well, does it have to happen? I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, I know it's pronounced Dare, but I like saying Dare because that's just what I do. Yeah, so we basically have to kind of recreate the pipeline, basically. And the reason why we have to do that is because the frame buffer, like, well, the image internally changes. I don't really know if that's strictly speaking necessary, because I don't think the frame buffer changes. I think the attachment image reallocates. But I think that's just the API, the way the API is set up, to be honest. So let's bring this back. We'll have to bring back circles as well. But yeah, basically this has to do this. So we can grab the, I guess we should just copy this, I think. But where is it gonna recreate it? Oh, we don't even have to recreate the render pass, apparently. We just recreate the pipeline. Huh. And that should work. And here we're just randomly checking to see if that's equal. It could be any of them though, because we're gonna change all of them. So that's a bit interesting. Yeah, I guess that should work, and then we can do that for lines as well. Don't know if I like this system, but that's what it does at the moment. Let's see. Oh, it's 3 o'clock. I should make myself a coffee. Alright, well, that got our icons back, but they are not textured. Why? Don't have any welcome validation errors. Okay. Why do they not have... That same thing happened with fonts, by the way. So, I feel like... Because initially they also were not textured. So I don't know why... I think someone asked a question earlier why this starts from 1 and not 0. It's because 0 is reserved for just the default kind of white texture. That's why. Because if we don't have a texture and we're trying to render a quad, then what happens is the color of the actual quad gets multiplied with the texture. And so we just set a 1 by 1 pixel white texture into the texture slot, basically, and then we multiply the color with that if it's if there's no texture. Otherwise, obviously, if there is a color set that's not white, which is the default, and there is a texture, it will tint the texture. Okay, so that's it. Yeah, circles we need to bring back as well. I don't even know what we would use circles for. Like, can't think of anything, because I don't think we have like a circle renderer component or anything. But whatever. Alright. So what was I doing? Yeah, the texture. So the texture slot. So we just do quad material set. But with the text material, we'd be... Oh, no, that's right. Yeah, that should probably work. As long as we render with the quad material. So why does this not work? Because this works, and I think it's basically the same thing. That is suspicious, isn't it? That's suspicious. Anything up? No, well, we're definitely rendering into it. It's just we don't have a texture. Why wouldn't we have a texture? I really can't think of why. We can also look at the GLSL maybe. But this is pretty standard. So set 0 binding 0. So set yeah, and it's uniform U-font atlases, right? So this is called U textures, yeah, and it's basically the same thing. So it's some excellent music. It's called Penthouse, saucy. What am I looking for? Yeah, U textures. This is bizarre. Because it's literally the same thing. I mean, we're clearly trying to set that. I'm in release, so this might not be the most debuggable thing to do. Yeah, not getting anything here. Oh, but this looks like a white texture. What? So why is this setting a white texture, huh? Look, that's not... Oh, 0. Okay, that just happens to be, yeah, white, sure. But point light, spotlight, and camera, these look like valid textures. Yeah, these are basically the textures that we're using. And they should be being set, like, into the correct index. Yeah, this is the same thing the text renderer does, so I assumed it worked. Maybe it's a bit different because it's not index 0 though. Maybe there's a bug. Should be binding the right one. Oh, that's beg. What does prepare do? Yeah, that looks like it should be the right one. If input size is greater than 1. Otherwise it is input 0. Yeah, this is a bit wrong. Maybe that's why. Yeah, that could be why. I think it's because of this. Oh, this is going to be annoying. And it's probably going to slow things down a little bit. But basically, I think this should be a vector. So it will basically be 0 everywhere. I think this is, I hope I'm right. Whoops. Oh, if this works, I'm gonna get my coffee. Okay, so yeah, for that it's fine. For this, it has to be. Well, actually, yeah, I don't really like this because this just checks the first one. It should probably check all of them. Yeah, okay. So here it needs to check all of them basically. So we can, I think we can do, because it just checks the first one for some reason. So this should actually go through, because I only made this work for textures at the moment. But, like because that's all we have. We don't have arrays of like storage buffers, for example, which we probably will in the future. Maybe for like ray tracing or something, that might be useful. Input size I++. Okay. So this is now I, this is now I. And then if we do that, we break, and that means we break from this as well. Okay, so that's that. Now these need to be properly set up though. So when we find the descriptor count, we need to also do input dot, is it not in there? Where do we store those resource handles? Oh, in the right descriptor. Oh. But not that one. Oh, right, we set it to null pointer. Okay, so, yeah, basically, that should be easy to change. That just means that when we do this, let's do this. Let's do... well... No, we could do this. We could do... that, basically. So we've resized it to the right amount. And now... yeah, and then we set it to the right amount, and then here... yeah, so this is fine. This is just going to be 0 everywhere, I think. Yeah, that should be okay. But then the difference is here, instead of 0, it won't be 0 because it will be... well, in this case it'll be 0, and in this case it will be set by the for loop to be basically this. I think. I hope that works. Okay. Yeah, so basically what was happening, I think, this is my theory, is that it was like what render passes do is basically any inputs that you set onto a render pass in Hazel in the new system, it will basically like like before beginning that render pass, it will basically check to make sure that you've actually got valid descriptors for every resource you're planning on using. And the problem is for arrays of textures where you might have, you know, a lot of them, we were basically only checking the first one and seeing, is the first index set correctly? So does the descriptor that Vulkan's going to use on the GPU to actually use that texture, is that actually valid to the, you know, the image view of the texture that's set, you know, kind of on the material or on the render pass? Doesn't matter because they both use this system. But obviously we need to check all of them, because if any of them have been changed, like if you've changed this to like some other material, or sorry, some other texture, then you obviously need to like you need to update that descriptor set basically. So I think that's the problem. The program I use to draw on the screen is called Zoom It. I wonder how delayed the stream is. Because I just have it on normal latency, but I know I can set it to like something better. Yes, I can go make my coffee now. Alright, so you can see we get icons. So that's a good tick. And a BRB. Alright, I'll be back in a sec. Alright, I'm back. What'd I miss? Okay. I missed everything. Oh no. My reward is coffee, yeah, exactly, so I can keep working. Alright, so. Do I use MSDF or MTSDF to render text? Oh. One of those two. I don't even remember. I think it's just normal MSDF. Alright, so we got icons back. That's very exciting. Oh, does play work? Yes. Seems to work. Alright, good. Alright. Oh, and actually I think if we try loading Sponsor, that should still work. Yeah, because Sponsor uses textures. That other scene, Prefab Sandbox, literally doesn't have a single texture anywhere. So it's important to test on this as well because this uses textures. This looks like the color space looks incorrect as well. I think this is linear, not sRGB, which is wrong. But anyway, and this should work as well, right? You'd hope so. Alright. Okay, so that seems to work. What is left? Oh, I guess let's do screen space reflections, because they're not in the new system yet. Screen space reflections, which by the way you can enable in dichotomy, so I wanna, dichotomy is like my kind of test in a way, because this new kind of system should massively improve the render thread performance of dichotomy, or well, of any Hazel game. But dichotomy, like, you can, if you play dichotomy enough, and you shatter enough players, because you can break the player apart into pieces, and then they don't disappear, those pieces. Like, well, they disappear when you clear the level, but not before that. And so that was a lot of CPU load. So that should be a lot better now. So it's pretty much like my benchmark. So what was I gonna do? Yeah, so as I was explaining, so because that's a bit of a benchmark, one of the things that we need to do, well, one of the graphics features that dichotomy supports is screen space reflections. So we need to bring that back. So I'm gonna bring this back and we're gonna port this to the new system. And I don't know how that's gonna, like, I'm not sure what we'll encounter along the way, because I'm pretty sure this is quite a few passes, including some compute passes as well. But hopefully it'll be okay. So basically we'll make a render pass now. I'll keep the pipeline for now. Actually, I can probably get rid of the pipeline as I introduce the pass. So this basically becomes a pass instead. Yeah, so you can see there's like 3 different compute pipelines that are used, which they basically become compute passes now. I was trying to decide what to call compute passes because they're not quite a pass, but I just figured that language-wise, like compute pass makes more sense. Compute pass, render pass, that kind of just plays nicely. It's possible to rebuild dichotomy with a new system. Yeah, absolutely. This is just back-end changes. So yeah, I do plan on making a new release of dichotomy, like when this is done. Hopefully that will improve performance for, you know, people if they want to test out that game. Alright, so lots of errors probably now, but let's take a look at this. So I'll just copy like something else as usual. Let's copy, what should we copy? It doesn't really matter. Let's just copy this. pipeline doesn't have a render pass anymore. Doesn't have a render pass anymore. But target frame buffer has basically moved onto the pipeline now. Render par, yeah, this, I think this just all goes away, right? Yeah. And then we can create SSR composite pass. Okay, and now we actually have to look at what shader that uses and maybe adjust the shader. So it uses the SSR composite shader. So if we look at that shader, oh, it's very simple. This is honestly, I don't even know. This probably doesn't even need to be a pass. I didn't write this. This could probably just use one of the default kind of bleeding things. But yeah, it basically just reads the texture and writes it into the out color. But whatever, we'll keep it, because it probably has like a special blend mode and everything. But yeah, so it's just a uniform sampler here. So that's it. So it actually doesn't need any resources in the pipeline. We could get rid of the, we probably should get rid of the material entirely. If we move this to set 1, any set from 1 to 3, but not 0, then it will basically be per pass rather than per draw. And so that means what we've effectively done is moved it to be now the render pass's responsibility to control this resource rather than the material. So that basically eliminates the need to even have a material. So we can just get rid of this material, as long as we obviously specify this USSR texture as an input here. So we can look at the material, because we used to have it, right? SSR material. And if we look at, that's got to be a different one. It's probably SSR composite material. Yeah. So you can see we're set to MSSR image. So we can go back and just set that to be MSSR image, as long as that, where does that get created? That's probably it getting resized, maybe, or not. No, this is it getting created. I don't know why it's created this way. Why do that? But basically this, where does that get created? Oh, at the very bottom, that's funny. Let's not do that. We can still kind of do that maybe, but the SSR image will create, well, anywhere really above this. We could do it here. And yeah, we'll just set it as an input basically into the SSR composite pass, and that's it. And we don't need a material for that, basically. Now what does this do? So frame buffer existing image, geometry pipeline used to be the just zero geometry output. So this is now just geometry pass, get output 0. Okay, so that's the composite pass. Now let's have a look at how that used to work, which it used to be, I guess, composite pipeline or whatever. Oh yeah, and we have to make sure that that gets resized as well, because it's a screen thing. I think I'm gonna clean this up and package everything in. Like, there will be a data structure that holds all these passes, because at the moment, even though they are linked together, kind of like a graph, because they deal with outputs and inputs and stuff like that, they're not exactly linked in the way they should be, and it would be better to actually make a graph out of them. But it basically is kind of functioning like a render graph. But there's lots of ideas as well that I want to implement. So if we look at this, let's do MSSR pass, composite pass, get target frame buffer. We're just checking the resize. Now, I don't think it actually has its own frame buffer. I'm pretty sure that where we wrote it is it uses an existing image. So it's actually not going to resize it here. It's going to just obtain the new image as an attachment. That's all. So this isn't quite going to be a resize, but that handles that. Don't know why that says dependent on geometry. Whatever. Okay, but that was just the easy part. That was the SSR compositing thing. Pipeline. So this was the SSR composite pass. Let's just fix up the pass now. So obviously this, we don't need this anymore. I'll leave that comment that Karim made. Begin render pass is just that. The pipeline is going to be here, And that doesn't even exist anymore, I think. Instead, we just need the material, which is null. So let's pass a null. Maybe I should make that a default parameter. Probably. That's it. That's the entire compositing pass. So yeah, no more material, which is nice. It's not a huge difference in this case because it's still one draw, but the benefit is obviously if you have shared resources, like for example the camera. Camera doesn't need to exist in every material like it kind of used to, because it's kind of just set. That descriptor set is bound at the beginning of the render pass across all the static meshes and dynamic meshes render. For example, for the geometry pass. Okay, yeah. So let's move on to just the SSR pipeline and stuff. Why is that just used here? So let's maybe, I might just search for SSR and see. Yeah, so SSR composite we obviously did. And then there's just this, and that's it. That's a bit suspicious, but sure. Because what about all the, but there are other passes I think that just aren't called SSR that are used in SSR. Anyway, let's move that here for now. Because all this does is it creates a pipeline and a material, and that pipeline I guess is used in SSR compute. So let's make SSR compute work. So this is obviously a dispatch compute shader. This is obviously a, maybe I'll keep that. This is obviously a compute, this is going to be a compute pass. So if we go to SSR pipeline, that's a compute. Yeah, so I've kind of made it into a compute pass, I think. But because that's a yeah, okay. So what we need to do is basically SSR pass equals compute pass create compute pass specification debug name. I'll just call it SSR compute. Pipeline is going to be compute pipeline. Do we even have a pipe? I guess we can just do this. I guess we don't need a spec, just a shader. Yeah, it just takes in a shader. That's cool, I guess. So we got that. What else was there? Just the marker color. Okay, that's fine. That's for like showing up in render doc or inside. You can set a marker color so you can color your passes. It's a debug thing. Okay, beautiful. So we've got that pass set up now. We probably don't need a material for it, but we'll see. SSR compute. Okay. Yeah, so you can see all the stuff it sets, which again it used to kind of do here, which wasn't the best. I think all of this can be done up front, which is fantastic. So if we just copy that, and we're gonna go up here, which by the way, in case it wasn't obvious, this section up here is basically, this is like the constructor kind of, it's the init function. So this only happens once when you create the renderer, when you create this instance of the scene renderer. Okay, so this is the SSR pass, which we need to eventually do this to. And then this, basically what I want to do is I want to make this be the SSR pass set input. We're going to move it up so that we do it here. And this is the first image, right? Index 1 from the geometry pass. So this will just be geometry pass get output 1. And this metal roughness is geometry pass get output 2. So we have those color attachments being fed in. And then all this, yeah, so basically out color and all this stuff that's inside this SSR shader needs to be now in set 1. So it was originally in set 0, but now we're moving it to set 1. And that's probably it, because it's part of the pass now, not the material. And yeah, again, the material can just go away, which is nice. We're not using this yet. Okay. SSR compute. Yeah, so that's great. That's gone. Oh, we also need to do this. We're not using, I don't know if I should bring back HBAO, because I haven't done that yet, just GTAO. Don't know if we necessarily still need both. Maybe I should just scrap HBAO. Not sure. But this UGTAO text, which is here. I'll put both in set one, but this might not be used. Yeah, MGTAO final image. Okay, so back in SSR compute. So this stuff's done, I guess. Now we just need to do basically this, which should be easy. So we can grab that in, I like to do that, and SSR options, UB. Just the style thing. Dispatch compute. Okay, so this basically needs to, so dispatch compute is what this is now called. It's a different thing. SSR pass. None of this stuff. Material is also null, but I don't think, yeah, material goes here. Null, that's there, and that's there. And then before that, we need to do begin compute pass. And we pass in the SSR pass, and we also need to do end compute pass. All right, so that should be the same functionality as basically all of this. It's just now the resources are set in the pass, and they're bound to the pipeline here. Okay. So now what should we do? So there were all the other passes that needed to be done as part of that, which I don't think are yet. So we'll have a look at them in a minute. But yeah, so SSR compute, well, so yeah, like pre-convolution compute, I think is needed, and pre-integration as well. So you can see this is for SSR. And this is, unfortunately, Karim wrote this to be very custom, which I'm hoping he had a reason for doing it that way. I think he did. It's because it uses individual MIPS, and Hazel API couldn't handle that, but it will in the future. So I need to make this work, which is a bit annoying. So what is this? This is the... So this will take a bit of time. This is the... Where's the pipeline? Or where's the pipeline? Oh, there's the Gaussian blur pipeline. Alright, sure. Well, let's start with that. So, yeah, this is it. So, this will become a pass. It already kind of is a pass. All these things have kind of... Let me just make them all passes now, so that I don't forget. Because that would force us, as you can see, to make the changes. Oh, sorry, compute pass spec. Come on. It's conflicting with that. Again, material probably not going to be needed, but we'll keep it for now. up doing this way. Because I'm fairly sure that we'll want to pass it in here instead of into the material, which means we can probably do something along the lines of like Gaussian blur pass set input, and then, you know, the texture basically to that guy. So what's this? It's called pre-convolution. So what does that take? So we have an output image and an input image. Let's see what sets the output image. I think that might, yeah, see, in this case, it's actually done manually. So we'll leave it for now like this. And the reason why it's done manually is because, probably because, we specifically need to get an image view in Vulkan bound to a specific MIP, and we can't do that using Hazel's API. So I need to add that into Hazel's API, and then when I do, which it is planned, just not probably before Ludum Dare, or at least not now, we're going to keep doing it manually, and then we'll eventually switch over to the new system. All right, so where was I? Up here. Or was I up here? It should have been. So much stuff, it's hard to see. Okay, yeah, so we'll leave that maybe as is. So we'll still make the material and we won't set any inputs. We won't have any inputs because if you look at the shader, they're all in set 0. Why I need a specific MIP? Because it's going to output. I'm not sure, like Karim wrote the SSR thing, but for example, in the way that the Bloom works is that because it needs to do like lots of downsampling passes and lots of upsampling passes, we basically create a single image with a MIP chain, and then every pass we basically sample from the last MIP and we downsample into a smaller MIP. But that's part of the same image. So that's why we have to make sure that for that, for example, we have descriptors that actually create a Vulkan image view for each specific MIP. And I'm guessing this maybe does the same thing because it's a Gaussian blur. I didn't write it again, as I said, but I'm not going to change it yet. I will change it later when we actually, because what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create like an image view in Hazel as well that we can just use, because Hazel's API does support getting image views for each MIP. Like you can see, we use RT get image view, for example, here to get like a specific MIP, an image view of a specific MIP, but it's just that it doesn't quite handle that as a resource, and thus we need to still create the descriptors manually, which is not good. But we'll fix that up later. All right. Okay. So then let's go to. So we've got pre-integration, and I guess no, that's different. Okay. Well, let's just do this one then. So this will just do pass get pipeline, I think. Not much to change here, really. And unfortunately, this still does the old system, like it uses the old system where it will basically allocate descriptor sets every frame, which is not what the new system does anymore. But it's okay because it should be okay. But yeah. How many other people have worked on Hazel with you? Well, like Studio Cherno is like there's 3 of us. But then the community, like we've got a bunch of volunteers as well. So in total, I'd probably say about 8 people or 9 people maybe have probably contributed like a sizable amount. Okay, yeah, so that should be okay. I don't even think we have to change much here, luckily. At least not yet. So this we can probably just enable. And there are going to be some things that change, like this no longer. Oh, we need to manually bind the descriptor as well at the moment. Okay, I'll make that happen, yeah. Okay, I better do that here actually. So if we look at like Bloom Compute, where was that one? Line 27. We used to do it, yeah, basically this line here. So this is us binding descriptor set. And the command buffer. Command buffer also needs to be a thing. Where does the command buffer come from? It should just be here. Oh, I guess we just have to do get active command buffer maybe. That becomes a buffer. Yeah, then we're doing the bind descriptor sets. Okay, so that's good. And then I think we had to also do that. Yeah, here. And then it does it twice. Does it have to bind to the descriptor set both times? No, it's the same descriptor set. Okay, so we can actually do that here. Yeah, a little bit better than doing it twice. All right. Pass get pipeline. This is what target frame buffer. Look at how long this used to be. Crazy. Now it's just get output. Was that the first one? Yes. So 0. Now input color image. Yeah. So as Vulkan image 2D. All right. Yeah. So there was also that. Where was it? This, the interleaving pass, I think, is also necessary. Or maybe not. Maybe that's used for HBAO. That might be used for HBAO. What is this used for? Yeah, HBAO compute. Okay, cool. I don't think that's used by SSR. So is that really it? I have no idea if this will work. So pre-integration we bring back. Pre-convolution compute we bring back, and SSR is in. Okay, yeah. I'm gonna control F7 that. Time is it in Cherno land? Almost 4 o'clock. Yeah, like 10 to 4. Let's try run that. Okay, so that's not great. Input U GTAO text not found, and that's apparently null. All right. U GTAO text not found. Really? It's there. Oh, is this not used? It has to be used. Oh, or maybe that's actually set off. I don't even know where that would be. Can we do a search? Ugh, What's the default set to? None. Okay, well, that would explain it. So that's fine, I guess. But the other problem is that this is... Jeremy, thank you for the $2. Nice guitar. Yeah, it's not bad. It's probably my least favorite guitar. It's the office guitar. It's pretty good though. It's fine. Yeah. So what's the other? So this is null, right? So Rizzle's null. U high Z buffer. So we probably just haven't created it yet at the time of setting it. So that's fine. So where are we first of all doing that? What's it called? SSR compute or something? No. SSR pass. So where is it? It's... Oh, is it this one? High Z buffer, right? So where do we create that? Yes, it's created lower. So let's maybe take that and just make sure that it's above here. I'll just stick it here, why not? What is my computer setup? Should make a setup video. What the heck was that? Computer setup. Well, yeah. So where do I begin? Well, the computer itself is like a 5950X AMD CPU, like 32 gigs of RAM, 3080, in like a nice white case. And the 3080 is white as well, which is nice. And then I got two monitors here, like LG 27-inch Quad HDs. Resources null, input color. Okay. Input color is pre-convoluted texture, which I guess is also done later. That's should be okay. Yeah, I should probably just move these up a bit. Because they're needed by the other thing. I actually got some decent audio monitors as well. Like Yamaha HS7s, I think. Yep, actually checked that. Oh, screen data's null. We must have... How about we just move this to like the bottom? Why is it here? I think it's just too high. Let's take the SSR and just move it to like be the last thing we make. How about that? Now everything will be made. Can I download Hazel? You have to become a patron. We do want to do a binary release eventually, but if you want all the source code and you want to build and stuff, why is that null? Screen data shouldn't be null. Yeah, you can go to patreon.com/Cherno and it will help support the project. And you can get access to Hazel as well. Objective, thank you for the $5 donation. For your hours of work creating educational content and making difficult concepts easy to understand, cheers, consider reviewing leaked game sources. Thanks. Appreciate the appreciation. Alright, so what's the problem here? Yeah, what is the problem? Resources are null screen data. I know it's set screen data. Why? Shouldn't that just tell me that it's not... Oh, this is validation failing. So that's actually correct, yeah. So screen data. So we need to set the screen data. So that's easy. We just find another pipeline that, or another pass that does that, like this. And then we go back and we add that in. Camera, okay. Hey, it launched. Alright, do you guys think it'll work though? Let's enable it. Nice. Nice little crash. Oh, that's just null. That is just straight up null. How is that possible? Vulcan material. It doesn't have a material. So that's easy. That's just something I haven't I forgot to do for this particular function. How many people currently working on Hazel? No, it's not just me. It's so Studio Cherno is 3, so there's 3 of us. So there's 2 more people on payroll apart from me. And then, well, I am my own payroll. And then there's a community. There's a bunch of contributors in the community as well, a bunch of volunteers. There's like maybe like 4 active ones. So yeah, quite a decent team. All right, SSR, right? So let's try and enable SSR. You guys might not be able to see it because of the face cam, but I guess I can move it here. I'll move it here. I can get rid of that. Let's move it here. So here it is, enable SSR. Ugh, not another crash. All right, so, oh, okay, we just don't have an image there and we're trying to read it. So that should have told us that it was null. Did we ignore it? Yeah, because that means I'm in release as well. Oh, I'm in release. Let's try build it in debug. So the image was not available, eh? The image is null. Have I tried Go.4? No. Well, I've tried Go. Before a little bit, but haven't tried 4. I hear that it's pretty good. Let's compile, man. Come on. Might have to cancel it and redo it. Well, I consider making Hazel an open source engine. Well, there is the Hazel 2D, which is open source. Probably, I don't have any plans to make the big Hazel open source, and the reason is that the fact that it's not open source and you have to like pay $10 on Patreon to get access to it is the reason why it exists, because that's like how we fund it. Oh, I was running this without Vulcan validation errors as well. That's not good. Oh, that's fine, actually. This is it? That's a bit annoying, but it's kind of fine. Alright. Yeah, so for that reason, like, I have to think, like, I don't know. If maybe, like, if we release some games with it, and they're, like, super successful, and that covers the funding, then we can maybe make it open source, but, you know, it doesn't cost that much money to get access to it, and that's obviously how we can develop it, so yeah, and you can use it for whatever you want basically once you have access to it. There's no like royalties or any other licensing complexities. Okay, what's your problem? Okay, right, so it's not compatible with these descriptors or whatever somehow. Really? What pipeline is this? It's the pre-integration pass pipeline. Okay, that's an interesting error. Let's have a look at the shader. So what is this? This is the pre-integration. So does that use anything from anything else? Yeah, it uses projection param, so that's why I think it's... Oh no, that's a push constant. Sorry. Does it use anything else? It doesn't look like it does. I mean, the thing is, if it... The render pass... The render pass, validation would have picked it up, though. That's why this is weird. So what is it? It's saying that it's... That pipeline is not compatible for maximum set statically used 0. With bound descriptor sets last bound with that pipeline layout. Which is the same one. Vulkan spec states for each set n that is statically used by the pipeline, bound to the pipeline bind point used by this command, a descriptor set must have been bound to n at the same pipeline bound point. Oh. No. What point are we? Oh, are we just not binding it? Oh, sorry. I forgot that this was... yeah, that makes sense. I forgot that this was custom and not going through the render pass. So basically, we just forgot to do... this kind of manual bind descriptor sets. So we have to do basically, I guess we can do it here. Command buffer, get active, command buffer, bind point compute, and descriptor set. So basically that, yeah, it was just not bound at all. I thought it was maybe a different set that wasn't bound because I was confused why it wouldn't be bound, but it's because it was manual, and yeah, that's another reason why that's bad. What model formats does Hazel support? Well, usually GLTF and FBX, but you can theoretically use anything because we use async for importing, and then the runtime will sort it out into its own format. Okay, so shall we enable SSR? Yep, enable SSR, and we get a validation error. So, that failed with error, write, update that, blah, blah, blah. Attempted write, update, image, failed due to image view. Being used, does not have a storage bit set. What? Okay. So we created this without a storage? Like this not as a storage image? I mean, I guess that might be true. Because I'm pretty sure you need to define storage. Huh. Don't know how that worked before, but storage should be defined to true, I think, is the reason for that not working. Yeah, if there's asking about Vulkan and how to get started with Vulkan, someone asked that earlier in the stream, and I recommended Sasha Williams examples, because they're really good if you, well, at least if you understand rendering in general. Is this stream going to be archived on YouTube? Yeah, I'll leave it up, I think. Okay, so I think, did we get this before as well? I think this is why we initially switched. So somehow this is null. And what is it exactly? It's an image 2D. Binding 7 and set 1. Ah, that's the GTAO one, isn't it? Binding 7. Yeah, it's this one. So yeah, that one actually doesn't exist though, but that I think is fine, isn't it? Because we don't really want to use it. But I guess we've set it. Have we set it? Yeah, I guess we set it, and it's... I guess it's null, right? That's why it's upset, I think. So maybe you shouldn't have set it. This is it. But why is it null? GTA final image shouldn't be null. It gets created, like, in a different place. Oh, we need to make sure we resize all these passes as well. But... Oh, it gets set here. That's why. It is null. Okay. Because it's one of these two, basically. Depending on how many passes we have. Okay, yeah, okay. Let's just set it to, like, this one. For now. You're not really supposed to update... Like, we could make it a material if it's something that can get updated like that. Otherwise, like, you can... I guess you can update it. Technically, you're allowed to update it. Like, let's actually try that. I'm curious. So if we go to begin scene, let's actually try and do that. Like, because that should update it if it's changed. And if it hasn't, I don't believe it will. Because it's gonna do a set. Oh, no, it will just... It will set it. But if it'll only change it if it differs from... It will only actually do a VK update descriptor sets if it changes from... If it changes from, what it already is set to on the GPU. Hello, how do you compile shaders and do reflection? Well, we use SPURV to compile the shaders and do the reflection, and then we basically package it into a custom kind of binary format that contains the optimized shader bytecode and also all of the debug kind of reflection data, and we use that so that we can basically still retain names of all of the you know, all the resources we use in the shaders, and we can still kind of use them around the engine, even though we're running the optimized version of the shader. And then you can create something called a shader pack as well, which is necessary for runtime, but optional for the editor. So yeah, it's mostly just like SPURV reflect, I guess, is the actual library, but then there's quite a lot of system on it. You can always go to patreon.com/thecherno, get access to Hazel. By the way, guys, it's really easy to do that now. Did I tell you? This is a little ad, I guess, for what you're seeing here. But we made it like really easy to get access to Hazel now. So all you have to do is go to patreon.com/thecherno, sign up for the supporter 3 tier, which is $10 a month. And then once you've done that, you literally just go to git.hazelengine.com and you just connect your Patreon account and your GitHub account. And that automatically, instantly gives you access to Hazel. So for those of you who like were around, you know, a long time ago, you know that you had to like manually message me and then wait like possibly up to a week to get access, depending on, because I only went through the messages once a week, and they were usually like 30 or 40. But now it's all kind of automatic. So feel free to test that out. And thank you for the support. Alright, let's try and enable SSR. When is this gonna work? Alright, so... Oh, I guess there is no uniform storage buffer. Why does it assume that there is? Oh, sorry, because there's no material. That's my bad as well. Did you guys enjoy my ad? Do you ever catch yourself mimicking the code you learned during your time at EA, or do you try and keep the code as original as possible, or do all game engines all follow the same techniques? I guess I've like picked stuff up here and there, but there's like The reason why I would probably ultimately say no is because I kind of have my own code style, like, that is stronger than anything I've learned at EA, meaning, like, when I write code, it's kind of like, you know, the way that you express yourself in a way is like, you know, when you're writing code, you're expressing yourself through that code in a way. And, like, because the stuff at EA, I guess, didn't influence me enough to change my own style, it meant that if I sit down and write code, I still have my own opinions and my own ideas that are stronger, you know, in terms of, like, being a determining factor on how the code turns out compared to what I would have learned or seen at EA, you know? So, I guess that's why. But also, the other really critical thing is that, like, in a way, I can't mimic that code. If I was to try and mimic the code that is used in Frostbite, in a way, like, it's a very different ball game. You know, it's kind of like, again, I always compare this for some reason to, like, building an A380 for some reason. So if you're building an Airbus A380, that's just my go-to kind of metaphor analogy thing. You know, it's kind of like, let's just say you're building a little plane in your backyard, like just a lightweight, like Cessna style plane, right? But then at work, you go and you work on an A380, and of course you're just doing a really small part of it, like the airlock, right? So you can't really integrate the airlock from the A380 onto the Cessna. Maybe, like, you probably can, but, like, let's be real, like, that's just a waste of time, and it's definitely not going to be necessary, and it's also, like, you know, it's the two completely different things. Even though they're both kind of game engines, they're both planes, it's still very, very different. So whatever, you know, you just don't have the resources to kind of do the same thing. And if you like, I also have to, like, look at Hazel and be like, look, yeah, I know that, like, maybe I could, you know, make something like Render Core for Hazel, and Render Core is something Frostbite uses for all of its rendering, basically. It's called Render Core. I think Unreal Engine has something that's named exactly the same thing. But basically, like, yeah, I could do that. I could make some kind of render command encoder and, like, just some crazy system, you know, that would be useful, and, you know, that'd be fine. But on the other hand, it's like, what's the point? Like, what is the end? What is the goal here? The goal here is to ship games. Do they need a system like Render Core? No. Would they benefit from that? Possibly. But would they benefit enough to justify the cost and the time taken to write a system like that? No. Because the end user that plays your game is not going to be like, oh yeah, this doesn't feel like it has a proper rendering system. Like, it doesn't make sense, right? Like, yes, it might marginally improve performance, might marginally improve compatibility and whatever. But, again, the keyword is marginally. So when you're working on something, you know, again, to go back to the A380 analogy, it's like, if you're working on the A380, then maybe like, because it's at such a large scale, every liter of fuel or whatever counts, like, so much, you know? And if you can tweak something in, like, the airframe to make it have slightly less drag, and therefore suddenly it's like over a trip, you know, across the Atlantic or whatever, it's gonna suddenly, you know, or the Pacific, it's gonna have like, I don't know, thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars of fuel. It's gonna make that difference, and that's worth doing. But if you're, you know, flying planes in your backyard and around your local area, that kind of reduction in drag, that same 1% reduction in drag or whatever, is probably not going to be necessary, you know? So that's basically, like, another way to look at, you know, what it's like writing code maybe for EA versus, and on Frostbite versus, like, just doing this stuff. Because, like, the thing that people don't understand as well is that, like, you don't need massive amount of features and very complicated technology to make games. Like, you just physically do not need that. Like, you know, I love looking, like, one of my favorite examples of recent times is Minecraft, because Minecraft is obviously a huge global success. Like, it's sold more than lots of AAA games. I'm pretty sure is it still, like, #1 most sold game of all time or something like that, right? Like, it's crazy. And, like, look at the tech. Did that use an engine? No, because it didn't need to. Like, the game is not like Nanite, Lumen, Unreal Engine 5 graphics, that's what you need, and therefore you should use Unreal Engine 5 because you're not going to be able to replicate that tech yourself, which I agree with. You're not going to be, probably not going to be able to replicate it to that degree yourself, right? But on the other hand, it's like, well, do you need that tech? Maybe if you're making a photorealistic game that's supposed to look like it's fully path traced, maybe, but if you're not, you know, if you're making a kind of abstract and like, you know, a game like Minecraft, because at the end of the day, games are just art anyway. So what they look like is depends like on what you want them to look like, right? Then you don't need that, and you can just build. You know, you can even build no engine. You know, you don't have to use something like Hazel, which would massively make lots of things easier. You know, because it handles lots of stuff for you. You could just actually start from scratch. So yeah. Tetris is number 1. Yeah, but I guess I'm more talking about modern games. Tetris is old. Okay, let's try and enable SSR again. Okay, well, I can press the checkbox and it doesn't crash. So I guess now all that remains is for us to maybe make the floor have a smooth material. So let's make it reflective. And is that... yeah, so that has a roughness of 0, so that definitely is not reflective. So I don't think the SSR is working, unfortunately. Microphone's too loud. Okay, sorry, I made my microphone a bit quieter. That still seems kind of loud. Maybe this is better. Yep. It's just annoying because like it's like at 99%, but the last 1% is like lots of gain. Alright, so that doesn't work, unfortunately. So yeah, we might have to... that looks weird. We might have to crack open RenderDoc. I'm probably just not doing certain passes or whatever. Let's keep the floor reflective. I'll save the scene. Because we should be... Wait, are we compositing the SSR properly? We're probably just not compositing it, maybe. Let's go into scene renderer. So the composites, SSR composite pass. This is definitely happening, right? I think we should be doing that. Yeah, if it enables SSR, it should be doing that. And where is that compositing into? Well, it's using its SSR composite pass, which should be using the geometry pass output. As long as that happens before actual compositing, I think that should work. And it does. So why is that not working? Are we missing anything? Okay, I'm just gonna... I guess I'll just run this through RenderDoc. SSR is screen space reflections. That's not the right path. Right, that's the working directory. Yeah, this is like Hazel runtime. Does RenderDoc have a dark mode, by the way? Do you guys know? Seems like an oversight. Settings. Oh, yes, it does. Nice. Have never used RenderDoc with a dark mode before. Okay, let's just do a little screenshot. Okay, might not be. That's GTAO. Where's SSR? Okay, here's pre-integration. So definitely doing something here. What's that doing? Well, it's don't know. It's doing something. Yeah, I do want to know where the actual. So this is scene composite already. Bloom upsample. Yeah, so before bloom, AO composite. Where does that happen? Okay, AO composite happens before this, and then we do pre-convolution compute, which we are definitely doing. And then we do jump flooding, and then we do SSR compute after that. It's weird. It kind of looks like it's not running. Like, it just, yeah, it goes straight from jump flooding onto bloom. So it's literally not running. Why? Yeah, it just looks like it's not running. Where's the, where's this though? That was definitely right? Yeah, this is the debug build, yes. Pre-convolution compute should be running though. So yeah, unless this is off. So it almost looks like enable SSR is just not on, but it has to be on because I turned it on. But that is what it looks like. So jump flood, yeah, so pre-convolution between AO composite and jump flood pass or whatever, and it's not here. Unless this is it. Which it's... Wait, that's light culling? No, it's not. It just goes there for some reason. Ah, that's a different thing. That's end render pass, and I don't know what this is. That's... Huh. Okay, well that is definitely surprising. Oh, did I turn it on before the capture? No, I didn't. Oh my gosh, that's so dumb. Sorry, I just kind of zoned out and did the wrong thing. Yeah, because it's not on by default, and I turned it on when I ran Hazel last time, but now it's just not on. Ugh, that's silly. How are you guys enjoying this live stream, by the way? Is this something that I should do more of? I mean, I kind of do this every now and then on Twitch, but it's kind of fun on YouTube. And I guess it automatically stays up, right? Okay, so let's turn SSR on this time. And now let's take a screenshot, take a capture. Alright, there you go, SSR composite. Yeah, so it does nothing, I guess, because the input is just not, doesn't look good. Oh, yeah, you know what I think it might be? But I'm not surprised it's not like a validation error. I think what it might be is these passes, they don't like, they all need to kind of be resized. And they don't really need to necessarily be resized. They just need to be like whatever images that they use that are kind of linked to something else. So such as this frame buffer, which is part of what SSR composite pass, we're doing that one. They like pre-integration potentially, but that has its own visibility texture, which I guess, yeah, does get resized. What other things are kind of important here? And that's compute really, so maybe that already is handled. And that is all for for HBAO. No, DOF we need to do. SSR composite pass. Oh yeah, I forgot to stream it. I was gonna change that. Sorry, I thought I was streaming at 1440p, but no, I forgot to change it to that. Next stream will be 1440p. Hopefully the quality's still fine though. Okay, so that looks fine. Let's go back to the beginning, which I guess is this. So output image is this. I just don't understand why that's not there though. So pre-convolution. So it's this texture. That surely has to get if to do. Nice. So that's the problem. It's just a 1x1 texture. Okay, that is what I was looking for. So now I think let's try that again. Just had some code disabled. I'm surprised that worked. I guess because it did exist, it was just not a real size. It was 1x1. Alright, glad you guys are enjoying the stream. Because, like, I don't know, the alternative would have been, like, it's not that, like, it's not like I spend most of my days programming like this. It's just some days are like this. Especially coming up to, like, Ludum Dare, where I have to actually write a bunch of code instead of just, like, making videos. And so that's why, like, when that happens, like, kind of like today, the alternative would have been just me not, like, doing this without streaming it. Because I would have still been doing exactly the same thing. Maybe I would have got more done. Although maybe I would have got less done because I would have kept getting distracted. So now do you guys reckon this will just work? Yep. So now we have, as you can see, beautiful screen space reflections, which of course disappear when you go off the screen. But pretty cool. Yeah. Screen space reflections are special. Oof. It's a debug build. It's a bit slow. Alright, cool. So we got SSR back, which is nice. I think that was half resolution. No, can we make it? Yeah, so we can change it from half resolution to full resolution, which might be hard to see. But if you pay attention... well, that actually kind of makes a big difference on the edges for some reason. But yeah. Oh, that's half resolution, and that's full resolution. Just makes it a bit better. But yeah, that does seem to look good. Can we make the floor? Oh, but we don't know what material the floor is. How about we just make this reflective? Wonder what screen space reflections will be like with this thing, man. If you can even see that. I mean, this is a light, so it's kind of hard to see. I guess you can see it. Like that's, check that out. You can see how that's reflecting the ground. So that's not bad, not bad. What if we make this a cube? Oh, no, not that kind of cube. This cube. Hey, look at that. Nicely reflective. Why is that so bright? It's a lot of light from somewhere. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Kind of like a mirror. Oh, and you can probably play with the roughness to make it be a bit rougher, the reflection, which I think if cone tracing is on, which it is, it should look a bit better. It's hard to tell though, like that doesn't look that great. Can make it metallic. Make it a bit softer. God, it's reflecting so much light. What is that light? Is that really the skylight? Maybe the skylight is just very, yeah, it's quite bright. Still, it's not quite blurring it the way I'd like. Was it always like that? The thing is, I don't remember. It may have always been like that. But like, it just seems to kind of fade the color. I guess that does kind of blur it out. But I swear it used to look better. There's lots of parameters to play with. Bit of brightness. But yeah. Alright. Yeah, cool. So what have we done today? We got 2D rendering back. We got screen space reflections back. Lots of stuff is back, actually. I could probably almost try and play dichotomy. We could probably try... You know what we could do? We could probably try and get dichotomy in. I don't know if it would work, because... we might need extra code. But I could try and open the dichotomy project in this version of Hazel, because it's actually the dichotomy branch that I'm on still. So maybe it will work. Let's open project. Oh no, that did not work. Oh, that's weird. That's like a memory corruption error. Youch. Let's try another thing. Yeah, that I should probably investigate. Let's try and open dichotomy like that. Okay, well that is weirdly broken. And that's suspicious. This is weird. Where are the textures at? This does not look like dichotomy. Yeah, this is... Oh, and it just, like, the GPU just crashed. Okay, that's very suspicious. I wonder why that happened. I mean, it is a potentially wrong version of Hazel, but it shouldn't be that bad. Well, okay, let's try a debug build for one. I forgot that was a release build. Oh, we should do this. Do I use tools like Valgrind? Yeah, every now and then. It's a bit difficult though. Yeah, a bit difficult because it's not on Windows. What's the rest of that message? Alright, so what's your problem? Yeah, so this might use different render calls or render commands, which might mean that certain things are a bit different. Oh, and then if it's rigged, then that's game over as well. It is rigged. Okay, so I think this is the animation not working coming in, because we need to get the animated pipelines working. That's possibly why, because you can see it's supposed to do all of this stuff, which this is not good. This is not great. But wait, what was this doing? Temp descriptor sets, animation data descriptor set, and that was bound here. We could maybe just try and enable that, but I don't really like that idea. Oh, but also the storage buffers. Yeah, because they're not supposed to be per drawer anymore. So that's why that's disabled. And I do have to go soon, unfortunately. I don't know if it's worth tackling this now. But basically, if we look at the geometry part, geometry pass that we create here. Yeah, so there's a pipeline for animation, and then I don't know if we created. Yeah, I don't think we did create a render pass for animated stuff. So we need to geometry pass animated. Pipeline anim apparently. Should probably be called anim pipeline. Well, shouldn't be here at all actually. But whatever. So geometry anim pass. No. Haven't made that yet. Okay, and then what inputs do we need? I think we basically need everything. But there's also more things. There's this guy. So set to binding 4 burn transforms. That might conflict with stuff. If we go to buffers, do we include buffers? Yeah, we do. So that actually shouldn't be here. That should be in buffers. Not the HLSL one, the GLSL one. Yeah, okay, it doesn't. So that should be here just so we can easily see the bindings, make sure they don't conflict. So set 4 yeah, so we need that one, and that's burn transforms is what it's called. So we can just also set, basically, do it here for now. SBS burn storage buffer set burn transforms, and then yeah, this obviously has to be done for here. I don't need these explanations. All right, so yeah, and I have this weird thing at the moment, I think, that I'm doing where I'm setting these guys up somewhere. Yeah, here. Which doesn't really... No, it's not bad, actually. I think that's fine. In all seriousness. Alright, so there's the anim pass, and it now has the right storage buffer. So really now, I think that... Does that really just work? That would be pretty amazing. Oh, but we also need to make sure pre-depth is done animated, right? So... I'm gonna hurry here, because I do have to go soon. So where's the animated one? Pre-depth pipeline anim. Pre-depth anim pass. We actually already have that with that in there. That's amazing. All right, great. So, we're actually doing it though? I don't think we are. So, begin render pass here. Yeah, and we basically need to do. So this is different. The thing is, we kind of have to do this again. Somewhat unfortunately, but it's actually better this way. Pre-depth anim pass. So no static meshes here, and just through the draw list, anything that's rigged, basically. So it just changes kind of into that. So we only do not rigged here, and we do rigged here. And that's it, I think. And pre-depth anim pass is the key. All right, and then in the geometry pass, we now need to basically do dynamic. Yeah, so that's actually all done the same. And then inside Vulkan Renderer, we don't need any of that. So it should kind of be the same effect. Oh, I don't know. Hang on. Geometry pass. So if it's, yeah. So here we need to do the thing that we did again, which is, why was this done twice? Ah, transparent stuff. Well, that's not... we don't really support that at the moment. So let's duplicate this. And then I'm gonna basically take this, I think. And there's all these performance markers, which we'll ignore. Geometry anim pass. No static meshes, obviously, because they're not animated. And then here we only do the rigged things. And that's probably just an index, yeah. Oh, and I'll get rid of these timestamp queries. And then this, I think, has to go here. All right. So that's the animated stuff. Geometry pipeline anim, sure. Yeah, and then here we just do the opposite. All right. I'm interested to see what will happen here. Hey, Peter's here. What's up, Peter? Oh, can I make you a mod? Add as managing moderator or standard moderator? Don't know what the difference is. You can be standard for now. Try that out. Powerful Peter. Alright, that just flat out did not work. Max Bones undeclared identifier. Alright. I think it needs both of them. Yeah. Yeah, now Peter has a little wrench next to his name to signify the engineer that he is. Ugh. Redefinition. In where? In wireframe. Oh, because wireframe anime has that. Yeah. So now it's in an include. And directional. Oh, the shadows. So what's happening with shadows at the moment? Is it just not doing... Oh, it's still doing this garbage. Okay. Did we make an animated version of this? Yeah, we did. Luckily I set these up earlier. It's kind of nice that I did that. Spot shadow map anim. All these animated shaders. Oh, pre-depth anim. I thought I looked at that already. Ah. I did not. Have I tried Rust? Not seriously, no. I haven't done anything major in Rust. I don't really have a huge opinion on it, to be honest. It's just that, like, you know, I just feel like, it's like, I don't know, I just haven't had a need to really look at any other languages. Like, I'm happy with C++ and C#, which we use for scripting. Stream delay, well, you can customize the stream delay on YouTube, so I can make it much quicker. I've just got on normal latency, but there's low latency and ultra low latency, which from memory is pretty good. Oh, we launched. But will this work? No. Directional shadow map's upset. Ah, because it needs extra things. Expected this command's above a vertex binding index 2 will be set, but I guess it's not. Alright, why is that the case? Oh, because I got rid of this, maybe? Yeah. So we still have to do this somewhat. It's just that we have to do this. I don't think we have to do this because that's all the descriptor set. So this just needs to be done and it wasn't. You guys talking about Java? That's funny. Ugh, can you just work? Whoa. That is unfortunate. Yeah, I don't know what the problem there is. That seems like something's invalid. Ah, well also we haven't bound this. This is actually in a different thing, but I'm guessing it's rigged. It is rigged, of course it's rigged. That's why it's not working. Because it's rigged. So, yeah, I mean, we can bring this back. That I don't think was done anymore. So this can all go away. That can go away. This goes away. So let's bind the extra vertex buffer though. But yeah, I don't know why that was the case. Maybe something wasn't set properly in the material. Make sure we do this as well. And that should surely be checking for the material. Why does this not even... Isn't this render mesh with material? So where's the material? What? Yeah, that's not great. And this doesn't do it either. What? What if it has descriptors? We're not even binding those. So this is what it should be doing. Let's find a place to copy and paste that from. Yeah, this is basically what it should look like for everything. Or at least this. But that actually should be there. And where's layout? Here. So basically this block here, I probably should make that into a function. Yeah. And push constants shouldn't be there, maybe. Or should it? Layout. So we do that separately from this, but the uniform storage buff, I don't know why it's written like this. Should be done there. I guess layout you can do out here. Hope that was correct. Probably is. Huh. Or is it? No, I think that's supposed to be first. Yeah, because that's at an offset of 16. So actually, it should be this. Glad I checked. Yeah, I don't like this. And why does that happen to be here? Alright, anyway, I'm gonna have to wrap it up because I gotta run. But I hope you guys enjoyed this live stream. I'll try and do more of this. This was fun. Just gonna see what happens here. Well, that's not correct. Why does that not give a... Oh, there's nothing here. What? Oh, this seems weird, actually, this scene. Where's the dichotomy scene gone? It's not even here. Alright, yeah, we gotta clean that up. Alright, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed the first YouTube live stream in a while. The VOD should stay up automatically, but yeah. Have a good rest of your day and everything, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.